listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Something worth more is worth less. What? Hey there, welcome back. Did you know the better you are at something, the more likely someone's going to undervalue it? Does that feel like a completely wrong and counterintuitive statement? Well, let's explore that for you, shall we? If you're good at something, and someone else is much better at something, and you're both selling your services, you would think people would expect the other person to have higher rates, right? Well, they're an expert. Aha, yes, that's where it works in your favor. That person's sort of an expert, so of course he charges more, she charges more, etc. But then what happens if someone is epic at something? Like, what if someone is so good, it's almost just intuitive the way that they work? For example, if someone is a painter, or a carpenter, or an artist, or a graphic artist, or they write code, if they're really, really good at it, they'll produce things for you in a shorter amount of time, and they'll do it flawlessly. If they're doing coding, they'll do it basically with the keep it simple, stupid in mind. They will have already taken into account a lot of issues and errors and choices that people make. They'll have everything laid out just the way that you probably would like it, okay? And so because of that, you're not going to encounter anything to which you say, oh, I wish this was this way, because it'll all just work as if you created it yourself and then wiped your memory, right? If someone is really, really good at art or a graphic designer, if they do a layout for you, you'll never see the crappy layouts. You'll never see first, second, and third tries. You won't have really anything to compare it to. You'll just say, well, yeah, that's great. You know, you won't grasp what it is you didn't get. And what else does someone who's really epic at something, what other attribute do they have? Well, they're really efficient at it, right? As you get better at something, you do it faster. I mean, even if you're working in a medium that basically has speed limits on it, right? Like even if there are speed limits literally, and you're running a delivery service or something, if you get epic at it, well, you figure out little shortcuts so that you can take a turn here or turn there, avoid a certain traffic, and you basically go the same distance as someone else, but you get it done faster because you're more efficient. And the same thing goes for all the other things I mentioned, for coding and all that other stuff, in which you do something faster. People equate short amount of time with things that don't have as much value as something that takes a really long time to do. So when you become epic at a skill and you're selling this skill, and even if you're not selling the skill, you're giving the skill to people, and you do it in a fast and epic manner that far outshines anyone else, people will say, oh, can I have another one? Well, that was easy, right? That was easy. Well, it wasn't easy. It was a huge amount of work. It was taking a huge amount of wisdom and experience to create that for you. But they'll take it for granted. There's a phrase floating around that says something to the effect of, my years of experience are worth more. Something like that, in which you know, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, people who are skilled, they basically are saying, look, I have learned how to do this job faster. It doesn't mean that it's worth less, which is exactly why people who charge hourly to a certain point sometimes stop and say, no, I charge based on a project. Because the project has a value, and the fact that I can get the project done faster, within reason, doesn't mean you pay less for it, because that's not fair. You're getting more skill, you're getting more value, and you're getting it faster, and you're going to pay less for it? No, you should be paying through the nose to get all three of those things. And there's that little chart, as you know. There's the quality, there's the time, and then there's the cost. And then you say to your client or someone wanting to buy from you, you say, pick two of those, which is really cool, because if they pick quality and they pick time, meaning you're going to get something that's awesome and you're going to get it really fast, you're going to pay a lot of money because they're going to have to employ other people to do it and so forth. If you pick cost and time, meaning you don't want to pay a lot for it, and you want it fast, well, then you're going to get a bad product or not so great of a product or a scaled down version of the product more likely. But you see how that works? So people will undervalue something that just seems almost too good to be true because to them it sort of is. So there is a threshold as you get better and better, as you become more and more of an expert at something, there is a threshold in which people think, well, you're not trying as hard, or you don't know it, or you're nonchalant about it. Imagine a firefighter, 20 years in service, has been through every single chemical fires, this, that, every situation, right? Imagine somebody who's a seasoned professional gets off the truck about to run into a building, and the person says, do you have your little axe thing? Because what if like you have to break a window? Yeah, I have it. Do you have this? Yeah. What about your oxygen? I have my oxygen. Yeah, I have my oxygen tanks. Well, what about this? Have you? Yes, I thought about all that. Oh, okay. Well, you just seem so nonchalant. Well, right? So that's what people's brains do when people become epic at a certain task. If you're one of those people, then it means that you have to be wary of the fact that your product will be undervalued. Let me give you another example that hits a lot closer to home because you're listening to this podcast right now. There's a library of over 100 episodes of this podcast that are the 10-minute long, at least one tangible takeaway episodes. Just 10 minutes, and there's at least one tangible takeaway. Some of my episodes have multiple tangible takeaways. They have a lot of goodies in them. I challenge you to go and randomly pick 3 of those 10-minute episodes and not come away with a tangible item, an actionable item that you can do that's going to either change your day, make your life easier, have you avoid pain and even conflict in the next hour, day, or week. I literally have an example that I know makes a change in your psyche in about 10 minutes. It's the one that has to do with, I think it's fear and doubt. So, but all of these are free. They're only 10 minutes. So it's not like, well, you have to go to this 2-hour class and then you come away going, hey, I knew how to get rid of the dread that I was having to give that talk. No, you learned it in 10 minutes and you learned it for free. And there's literally over 100 examples of that in a free podcast library that I make available to you. Does that make it any less valuable? Well, yes, I suppose if someone said, I want to buy a hamburger and you went, well, I have a free podcast I can give you. And they'd say, no, I can get that for free. So it'd be less, so they'd all be less than the value of a hamburger, right? But that doesn't give them any less intrinsic value. They have a lot of value. The fact that they're presented to you in a free form, because that's what I decided, because it's part of a greater whole. It's a coaching and a book and just a bunch of other exciting things. Doesn't make them any less valuable. And the same thing goes for you. If you are somebody who produces a tangible physical object, it's a little easier because if you're like, I'm a carpenter and I made all these chairs and this table and it's beautiful, and they say, oh, can I have one? What? Can you make them really quickly and they're all perfect. Yeah. Can I have one? Can you have one what? Well, table and chairs. No, you have to buy them. But for some reason, when it comes to intangible media, like a podcast, like a graphic, like a speech, some sort of intelligent consulting in which you help people work through problems or ideas, coaching, all these things, people say, well, can I have that? Can I have that? They even do it for books. They'll even do it for books because, well, you didn't write out at every book. They just print those. And I'm sure you get them cheaper. So people will literally say, oh, can I have one of those? I'm speaking for experience in having a lunch with somebody in which I had my book with where someone actually asked me, oh, can I have that? Wait, what? But anyway, that was a long time ago. So the tangible takeaway here first is when you move into the epic range of things, people will take for granted what it is you do. The second tangible thing I want to give you is, well, what do you do about that? Well, as I say in so many things, your awareness is always going to be the first step. You have to be aware that you've become epic at something and go, oh, I do this thing that takes 6 hours. I do it in 1 hour and I do it better than anyone else because I have a method. I have a system. I figured it out. I've just honed my skills. Oh my God, I'm that good. And then the second step is to repackage it in such a way that the people that are buying it from you or getting it from you understand how fantastic and epic it is. And now I'm over my 10-minute limit, even with my stumbling. I apologize. But I want to give you a couple more things. I want to give you a mind-opening thing that I want you to think about here. It'll take quite a while for you to kind of think about this. So next time you're daydreaming or whatever, or bored in some meeting, think about this concept. What I just told you about you became epic at something, you need to repackage it. Imagine that it doesn't only apply to a sellable product. Imagine that it applies to you. That's it. I'll talk to you later, and take care of yourself. Hey there, thanks for listening. I always appreciate your feedback. I really, really do. Wanted to let you know that the Sword in the Sunflower audiobook won as Best New Author for 2020. My podcast is available wherever you consume podcasts, and my books are available on Amazon. Take care.